Welcome, everybody, to the Brandon and Ryan Hour. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Ryan. And today we are discussing, in spoilers, the new movie produced by Amazon called The Burial, starring Jamie Foxx and Tommy Lee Jones, with some additional actors, including the lady who played in The Kindergarten Cop.
Okay. Did not know that.
You didn't? Yeah. So Tommy Lee, the actress who played Tommy Lee Jones's wife, is the lady cop from Kindergarten Cop.
Huh. I thought she looked familiar, but couldn't place her.
Yeah.
Didn't look her up either. Yes,
I did,
so.
because I was like, she looks familiar. What else has she been in? She was in Kindergarten Cop.
Nice. It's a good movie, too.
Yeah. Did you
Now I
know
want
that
to watch
movie
Kindergarten Cop.
is like 33 years old?
It's an old movie.
Yeah.
Dang. Way to make me feel old right at the start of the show, Ryan.
Oh, you're
Real
welcome.
nice.
I'm glad I could help.
Anyway, so about the real reason we're here, the fantastic late 1900s period piece, semi-fictional retelling of a lawsuit. I'm excited. Are you excited?
Not exactly.
Oh, come on, man. It's good stuff.
Okay, well, why don't you tell me why it's good stuff?
Because it's got the 90s in it. Yeah. I mean, number one, I was watching it and I'm like, it actually does look like the 90s in this
Okay.
movie, which, I mean, obviously not everything, but like they did a pretty good job with,
Making a period piece.
yeah, making a period piece from the late 1900s.
All right.
Um. Yeah. So it's the, yeah, like I said, the semi-accurate retelling of a lawsuit between a funeral home director owner guy
Mm-hmm.
whose name is Jeremiah O'Keefe
Yep.
and some Canadian billionaire trying to rip him off, Ray Lowen.
Yep.
Freaking Canadians.
Canadians. What can you do?
Sue them, I guess.
I guess.
um, I liked the movie though. I thought it was pretty good. It's got Tommy Lee Jones in it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's gotta be good, right? No? What Tommy Lee Jones movie is bad? I defy you, sir, to name one Tommy Lee Jones movie that is not a good movie.
The Burial.
No, you're wrong.
Okay.
If you were gonna say anything, no wait, he wasn't in that. They didn't even have a cameo on that. Good for him.
Okay.
I was thinking about the stupid Men in Black movie,
Ah, okay.
but yeah, it was. That's right. I thought there was a cameo, but there wasn't. Anyway, I was just looking.
Yeah, so just The Burial.
Zero bad movies for Tommy Lee Jones. So
one bad movie.
no. Shut your mouth. Don't make me mute you. You're gonna have to do some heavy lifting to try to convince me that Tommy Lee Jones made a bad movie.
I mean, he did a good job in the movie. The movie overall is not a good movie.
I disagree.
Okay. Well, tell me. You tell me why it's a good movie.
It's got Tommy Lee Jones in it.
Okay.
Okay, he's never made a bad movie.
Yeah.
Ergo, this is not a bad movie.
Yes, it is.
Vis-a-vis. Why is it a good movie?
Yes.
So it is kind of hard to, I I guess, a little tricky to kind of review a movie like this where they're telling you a true story, but also not at the same time. And there's like right at the beginning, they're like, this is real, but it's also fake. So do with that what you will.
See, I disagree with you. I don't think it's that difficult to make an entertaining story that's based on real events.
What? I didn't say it was.
You just said that it's hard to tell a story like that. That was your entire
I didn't
point
say it
that
was
you just
hard to
made.
tell a story like that. I said it's hard to review a story like that.
Oh. Well, obviously I wasn't listening to you because I don't care about your opinion.
Well, fine then. Everybody else can listen, and I'll talk to them, and they can tell me how correct I am and how wrong you are,
All
and how
right.
much they like Tommy Lee Jones movies.
I like Tommy Lee Jones
Everybody
movie as
in
much as the next
the
person.
comments, tell us what your favorite Tommy Lee Jones movie is. That's a tough
Batman
one.
Forever.
Oh, dang. That's a contender, man. Oh, what is this? Let's see. I don't know. I really like U.S. Marshals.
Okay, yeah.
Volcano's good. Batman Forever. The Client. That's a really good one.
The Client's a good one. What's
I like
the one?
which one?
What's the one where he's in the movie with Harrison Ford?
The Fugitive.
The Fugitive. That's a really good one too.
That would be the prequel to U.S. Marshals.
Okay.
It's not really a prequel. It's just
It's the first movie.
Same character.
Yeah.
Same characters. Anyway, Small Soldiers. That's a good one.
I don't know if I've ever seen that one.
He's just a voice of the army toy.
Okay. He was also in Captain America, the First Avenger.
For like 2 minutes.
Yeah, but he was great in it, so.
Yeah, because he's Tommy Lee Jones.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked with Tommy Lee Jones. What was I saying before?
That it's hard to review a movie like this.
Yeah, so they're telling you it's real, but it's also fake. So I'm like, okay, what's real and what's fake? Like, you really don't know unless you're going to spend a whole bunch of time doing a bunch of research, and I don't have the time for that. So, going to leave the factuality of the events to the side, just talk about the movie as it is, because, do a little crack there. That feels good, because I don't know what's real and what's not, except for like at the very end where they give you the text and you're like, okay, I guess this is real because they're writing it down. But you don't know. So I don't know the things I liked about it. It was in the 90s. They talk a lot about death and family. Not every time you say family now, like freaking Vin Diesel ruined the word family.
Yeah.
But you got Jeremiah O'Keefe, who's building a legacy for his family. The main characters, Tommy Lee Jones, Jamie Foxx, they have a purpose in life and they're driven by that. There's the justice part of it, and the shady business dealings and dealing with that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean that's the aspects of the movie that I like, but I also liked how they did the trial stuff where they're in the courtroom and then they would be like questioning somebody and then they would just like skip all of the crap that you don't care about and go to the next thing. I was like, oh, was like, that was weird. But then after they did it a couple times, I was like, I kind of like this. Instead of just getting boring and talking to the same witness for 30 minutes or whatever, they just like skipping through it. I kind of like that. Um, the character interactions, like everybody had good on screen chemistry. There weren't any actors that like ruined any scenes or were just kind of phoning it in or
Okay,
you
I'll
know.
concede that point. You are correct. All of the actors did a good job, and they worked well together.
Yeah. Um mm, yeah, I don't know. That and probably other things is why I like the movie. Why didn't you like the movie, sir?
Why
Oh,
didn't I
because
like the
you're a
movie?
jerk?
Yes, because I'm a jerk. That is 100% what my problem is with the movie. Is I'm a jerk, so I don't like anything. Um, no, I thought the editing was poorly done. There were just random jump cuts to different scenes. I think there is a possibility of a good movie. Like there's a good script out there that exists that this movie was made off of, like a good story. But it is filled with race relations, social justice. Rich people are bad, poor people are good, and
That's not the case at all.
that is the case. That
That's not the
is
case.
Jamie Foxx's character. That's his entire shtick. Is poor people are good, rich people are bad. You need to give money to poor people because rich people have it. Both times we see him
How
in
is that
trial. Both times we see him in trial. That's his main point, to get the jury to give enormous amounts of money to somebody. They're billionaires. They have the money. Those were in both of his courtroom scenes. That is exactly what his point was. And the whole
I
race relation.
disagree.
Okay, well then you didn't watch very
No, no,
carefully.
no. I disagree with your not what happened in the movie, but your analysis of it.
Okay, well you can disagree with my analysis, but that's exactly what happened. Both
I'm
of
not saying
his.
that's not what happened. I'm saying you're ascribing a motivation to the character that I'm not.
Okay, well then you didn't watch it carefully enough.
I did watch it carefully enough.
And I think there's been a ton of good movies that focus on race relations that did the story way better, and you get more character interaction on why the two leads actually care about each other. You've got Driving Miss Daisy, where you actually see them form a friendship and a bond,
Okay,
so
but I
it's
don't think this
believable.
movie's about race.
It is about race.
I don't think
Like
it is.
there is at least 75 times that they've mentioned race in this movie. It is a
Okay,
core focus in the movie. And
I don't think so.
Jeremiah, Tommy Lee Jones's character, and Jamie Foxx's Willie become best friends, and you don't see why. Like
I don't know if they become best friends.
they do become best friends. They both say that they're family during the movie. Like Tommy Lee Jones also goes to Jamie Foxx's house. His wife's there, and she's like, "Oh, your family. I'll just go take you to him myself." There's no indication in the movie at all that they formed any kind of a friendship.
It's because you don't make fast friends.
Okay, but like
I don't
there's
know. If I'm paying somebody $30 million, you better be my best friend, or I might have to hurt you.
but I'm just saying, like they just skip from one thing to the next. There's no character progression. There's no relationship building. Like there is, we see it in such good movies like Driving Miss Daisy, Remember the Titans, The Green Book, all these race relation films, which is feels like this is what it was after, was building that friendship between different races and why you should care. And they just breezed past all of it. So there's a good story there. It just wasn't executed very well.
Okay, I
Okay.
guess
All right.
if you're looking at it for race, then yeah, I think you're probably right. But I don't think it's a race movie.
It
I
is
don't
a
think it's
race
about
movie.
a
They
black man
talked
and a white
about
man being
race.
friends.
They talked about race the entire movie.
They also talked about the lawsuit the entire movie.
The lawsuit was incidental to what was going on.
I think the race stuff was like a secondary or tertiary element of the movie.
I disagree. I think it was set up. I think it was set up to be a race relations movie. They just didn't execute it well.
Get closer to your mic.
Okay.
You moved way back. See, I think they handled the race relations like it was the 90s, not like it was the 2020s, where everything is.
They handled the
You're
race
wrong, dude.
relations like it was the 70s. In the 90s, you and I both grew up in the 90s. Race relations were nowhere near this in the 90s.
What are you talking about? Nowhere near this.
Yes.
Near what?
Like nobody talked this much about race in the 90s. Nobody cared. And then
We were kids in the 90s.
Okay, but still, nobody cared about race in the 90s. Well, virtually no one. And this movie, the focal point is
right. But some of the things that they were telling in the story, because this man is 75 years old.
Uh-huh.
He was born in 1927.
Yes, I get that.
Right. And Willie Gary, he's in his what, 50s?
40s, 50s, somewhere in there, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking early 50s. So he was born in 1940 something.
Okay.
So they've seen things. He said he was a sharecropper. His dad was a sharecropper.
Right.
So most of their race stuff was in their past.
Okay.
Not in their present. Most of it was in the past and not in the present. And they handled the race stuff like men. Like Willie Gary is talking to Mike, the other lawyer, and he's like, "Hey, do you have a problem with black guys?" And he's like, "Man to man," and then they talk man to man, and he's like,
"Yeah," and I appreciated that. I'm just saying the film was full of race discussion. That's my entire point.
I don't know if it was full of race discussion.
It was. You couldn't go 10 minutes in the movie without a mention of race, about black versus white.
It wasn't versus, though.
You know what I'm saying.
No, you said black versus. There was no black versus anything. There's no black versus white in this movie.
Yes, there was.
What? Black versus white? The only black versus white was Mike.
No.
And
also, they made it a big deal in the trial that the corporation, what was the name of the guy who ran the corporation?
Ray Lowen.
Ray Lowen. That the Lowen group was specifically targeting minorities because of race. That was also a big part of the trial.
That was the narrative of the trial.
Correct.
I would say that was just to win over the jury.
Okay.
Who was...
But is it still in the movie? Yes or no? Was it still in the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, that's my entire point. You can't go
you're saying,
5 to 10 minutes in the movie without some kind of discussion.
But you were talking about this movie like it's Driving Miss Daisy, but I don't think it is Driving Miss Daisy.
I think it wanted to be. I just think they didn't execute it very well.
I don't think it wanted to be.
I think it wanted to be. I think they were setting up for an Oscar bait film on a story about a white guy and a black guy becoming friends, but they did not execute it well at all.
I don't know about the Oscar bait thing. Maybe, but I don't know. Maybe, but I think. I mean, that's an idea, but I think because I don't know. I mean, the race stuff was there, but it didn't seem to be like like I said, it seemed more like a secondary or tertiary theme of the movie
I disagree with
because
you.
you already said that.
Okay.
Because there wasn't any most of the drama and the tension in the movie wasn't around race.
I don't know about. Okay. I don't know if most of it was around it, but I'm just saying there was a lot of discussion and some drama
Right.
around race.
Yeah, there was some.
Okay.
And
That's
obviously they're
what
going to
I've been
bring it up a
saying.
lot.
Right.
Yeah, but you were just
That's
talking about
exactly
like
what I'm
Driving
saying.
Miss Daisy. I don't think it is Driving Miss Daisy. I also don't think it's a buddy friend movie where they're yeah, it does kind of agree with you where they're like, "Oh, it seems like they go from, you know, barely or from not knowing each other to best friends in a short amount of time." But at the same time, a lawsuit takes freaking forever.
Right.
Who
And
knows
I'm
how this
just saying,
lawsuit went on for?
right. And I'm saying they didn't do a good job of covering why I should believe that they became friends. Like there was no progression. It was, we're hiring you to do a job, and then they skip in 15 minutes of the movie. They're best friends now. And there's
Okay, it was a
no,
15 minutes. Calm down, sir.
okay, excuse me for using hyperbole, but there's no
So,
indication of the passage of time.
I
There's
mean, you
no,
have you have like 4 or 5 key scenes with them. You have the scene on the plane where Willie tells him about his past and why he became a lawyer. You have you don't it's not like a well, it's not a scene, but you get the idea that Willie has learned a lot about his past because of stuff that comes up in the trial. Um and um the apology from Willie to Jeremiah, and then um, yeah, and then you have the scene where he goes to his house to try to talk to him about um,
dropping the lawsuit. Yeah.
dropping the suit, and um, then that's where we get the information that Willie has been telling his wife all about him,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why she's like, your family, and that's to me, I guess because the movie is, everything takes place in the South. These are all Southerners. It's the 90s. It's kind of the way people acted. They were more friendly. They were easier to make friends with. Um, there wasn't this built-in animosity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I guess Willie Gary's character, he didn't there was no talk of hate
Right.
or anything like that. So like he didn't hate anybody. He didn't hate the guy for um making him look bad in front of his family for not renting him an apartment. He hated, he got justice for what happened.
Okay.
And same thing for Willie. He was or not for Willie, but like that's what Willie's motivation was, to get justice for people. Um and in a trial you have to be you know, to win like he always does because he doesn't like to lose. You know, you have to win the crowd, and I think that's what he was doing when he was, you know, giving those kinds of speeches.
Okay.
And in reality, those speeches probably didn't happen like that.
Didn't happen like that, yeah.
Yeah. So what else? What other problems did you have with it?
Those were the only real problems that I had. I thought the editing was poor. I felt
Okay.
like they didn't do a good job developing character relationships, and that they focused way too much on race.
So you didn't like the cutscenes, or they were just like cut from one thing and just transition right into the next?
No,
Why not?
because a lot of the cuts just felt clunky. Like just, hey, we're doing something, and now we're on to something else. There was no smooth transition. Like I didn't feel like I was watching just one narrative story. It was just cut, 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 cut.
Okay. I
So,
guess.
and I mean that's just an editing thing. So it's just editing that affected the story and my enjoyment of it.
I mean, how would you have cut the scenes together? Like, you want a star wipe or something?
I mean that would have been way more enjoyable.
It would have been really strange. Or like
Yeah,
a
but
Batman series thing where they do the like zoom in spinning thing.
like if you did a star wipe, that would have fit with the 90s vibe.
You know what? You're not wrong. That would have definitely fit with the vibe. Yeah.
Like
That
I
would have
just
been
felt
good.
like they cut the scenes in weird places to move on to a new scene,
Hmm.
and it just felt like it interrupted the flow, the narrative of the actual movie.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I didn't mind it. I didn't think it. I think. Well, as I'm thinking about it now, I'm thinking that maybe the reason and the idea of why they did that was for the audience to kind of fill in the gaps.
Okay.
Because you go from, you know, they're questioning somebody about a couple of things, you get a couple of questions, and then it cuts to a different person being on the stand and them asking them different questions. And you're like,
Right, and
okay,
see during the court scenes that didn't bother me. The part that bothered me was the build up to the court scenes, because you'd be doing just having them talking or having dialogue between two characters and then cut to a next scene that didn't flow. Like there was no,
okay. Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
we're
I know
talking
what you're
about
talking
one
about.
thing, now we're gonna continue the conversation, or continue the same thought, just in a different scene. It was just, yeah, I don't know how to describe it. It was just
No, I know what you're talking about. I think that's just part of the um it's kind of sometimes that's kind of how you tell a story though.
okay. I didn't feel like it worked at all in this movie, is what I'm saying. Like the cuts seemed clunky, and like there
Okay.
was no real plan on how things should be stitched together.
Eh. Like, are you just talking about like the cuts themselves or like how the scenes were organized?
How the scenes were organized.
Okay. I think that was done intentionally though.
Okay, then it was a bad decision.
Well, that's how you tell a story from 30 years ago.
Okay,
If you were telling a story from 30 years ago that spanned a year or more.
right. And again, we don't know how long it took because there was no indication of a passage of time at all.
Right. Well, we know it took at least um a year.
Do we know that? Because that was not expressed in the movie at all.
Yeah, because we know it was at least 4 months from when Jeremiah met with Lowen
Uh huh.
to when they started the lawsuit thing.
Right. But we don't know from when Jeremiah hired Willie to the end of the movie, there's no indication of the passage of time, like
Right,
at
they don't
all.
talk about it, but you know that takes a long time.
Okay, but
Those trials take a while.
it's not conveyed in the movie at all. There's no
Right, it's just
passage of time
inherent
at all.
knowledge, but you know in your mind you're not dumb that that didn't take a week.
I mean, you don't know. I might be dumb. I'm just saying the movie did not do a good job
I
depicting any type of temporal movement.
Why did it need to?
Uh,
Instinctually, you know that that couldn't have taken a week. So
okay.
critiquing it because it didn't tell you how long it took doesn't make sense.
Not that they didn't tell how quickly things or how slowly things moved, but there was no indication. It was just scene after scene after scene leading up to it. I mean, if they would have taken 10 seconds, hey, 2 months ago when we were talking about this, and then moved into a new scene
Yeah,
or
but
a
why does
new
that
thing
matter?
to give a feeling of narrative, to give a feeling of trajectory, like so that way you're telling or you're bringing the audience along through a process instead of bam, 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 bam.
But it's still the same thing. There's just
Right. I'm saying
there's
the
no
movie didn't.
September, October, November, December on the screen.
Right. And I'm not saying they had to put it on screen, but they could have made a reference to the previous scene with a one sentence line between the two characters. Or, hey, when I hired you 6 months ago.
I guess, but those are just throwaway lines that don't matter. Like none of that
They do
information.
matter. It builds up audience participation in the passage of time.
Yeah, but why does that? Why does it matter?
Otherwise, you just get a random series of events that have no context.
What are you talking about? How does it have no context?
It's like you're not listening to anything that I'm saying.
How does it have no context? That doesn't make any sense.
My entire point was I don't know how long these people were supposedly building up a friendship, and that shows by not giving any kind of passage of time, no character development. It was just this is a person, this is a person. They started working together, now they're best friends. There's no story there of how or why or how
But their
long it took.
friendship wasn't the main story.
Okay, I disagree with you. I think that was a big part of what they were trying for in the movie, but they failed spectacularly
I don't think that was the main story.
at. Okay.
I mean, that's not what I'm getting from the story. I'm thinking, for me, like, for me, it's kind of hard to say this is the main plot point, right?
Then that is a poor excuse for a story. If you
It's
can't
not.
identify what the main point of the story is, then the movie writer, the narrative
But the
doesn't.
story is the story.
Story has to have a plot, a progression, a point.
It did. It had several. It
Okay.
had it had the lawsuit. It had the friendship. It had multiple friendships, right? You had his original lawyer. You had Willie. You had his friend or his son's friend, Hal.
How?
Relationship with his wife. There's tons of relationships in the story, and I think we're so used to having. Here's the problem in the first 5 minutes of the movie, and then you spend the rest of the movie solving the problem. That's not what this kind of story is. It's just a story about people, about lives, um, about dynamic people coming together in an unusual way in this, gigantic lawsuit that it turned out to be. Yeah, I don't think it was this super focused drama where Ray Lowen is the bad guy, rich billionaire bad guy, evil bad. So now everybody else good attack evil rich bad guy. Like that's not the story. That's a part of the. It's a part of the story, but part of the reason why I like this is because it's a more full story, right? You don't just
I
have.
disagree with you. But go ahead.
You're saying it's not full because it doesn't have.
There's no narrative behind it. It's just look at these random series of events that happened.
That's life.
There's no.
Life is a random series of events that just happen.
That's not true at all.
That is true.
No, it is
That
not.
is true.
No, I disagree with you.
Us meeting was a random series of events that just happened to us. Like we didn't like none of these things people intended to happen, right? Life just happens. I think that's what the movie is. It's a life just happens movie. Okay. Sorry, go on.
No, you go ahead.
I'm done. I need a drink.
But I'm saying that there was no progression in the movie. They just showed scene after scene after scene and didn't give the connective tissue. So all you're seeing is a skeleton. You're not seeing a fully formed body. In life, you actually get the connective tissue, you get the ligaments, you get everything to form actual relationships. And that is not what this movie depicted.
See, I think this movie is showing now that like you use that analogy, and I'm going to turn it around on you.
Okay.
Because I think this movie shows you the skin, the hair, the teeth, and it doesn't show you the skeleton. It doesn't show you the inside. It doesn't show you what's inside their relationship. It shows you an external view of their relationship.
I disagree
Everybody.
with you.
I mean, that's what you see. What you see is me, right? You don't see my bones, my skin, my ligaments, my tendons, my muscles, my organs. All you see is the skin and the clothes. You see the external effect of everything that's internal. So I think that's kind of your analogy, dude. I'm just stealing it.
Okay. But I'm just saying you only see the bare bones of their relationship, of what happened. You don't see any of the connective tissue.
You don't see like there's a few things like the apology, like how he cares so much about him. Like they care a lot about each other, like
right, but
they care about each other's story.
None of that stuff was earned, though, is what I'm saying. It was poor storytelling that all of these random events. But then it would have
been like a 2 hour, it would have been like a 3 hour movie where an hour and a half of it is just you watching Tommy Lee Jones and Jamie Foxx talk to each other.
So let's go to the apology thing. That scene fell completely flat for me because I didn't know anything about Jamie Foxx's character. Not
Jamie Lee Foxx?
Yeah, I don't.
Who is Jamie Lee Foxx?
I don't know, dude. But like, there was no setup that his character didn't apologize to people, that he had a problem admitting when he was wrong. There was nothing of that. It was just, hey, here's.
You need to get out more.
I'm just saying they didn't set it up. It was just, hey, here's a scene where he has to apologize. Is he a man? Yeah.
Then yeah, he does not apologize to people.
Okay. I'm just saying it was badly done. It was just a random scene. Hey, I made a mistake. I've got to apologize. But there was no build up to it. There was that is a scene that is a payoff scene that has to be preceded by a setup. There was no setup for that scene.
I disagree.
Okay.
I disagree.
All right.
I think you're trying to be too formulaic with it. And I think that's part of what this movie was good about it is not super formulaic. Like one thing. Okay. So I'm trying like normal movie watching brain. From the very beginning, when we meet Mike Allred, his original attorney,
mm-hmm.
I'm thinking the whole time that he is in cahoots with Lowen.
Okay.
Did you?
Yeah.
Right.
Like I felt like that's what they were setting up, but Yeah.
I thought that's what they were setting up, and that shoe was gonna drop, but it never did. And then
It
I was
never
like, man,
did.
I'm a douchebag. I just thought he was a low life scumbag screwing over his 30-year plus friend, and turns out he just had a little bit of a drinking problem and a little racist, but
Yeah.
not not actually the bad guy in the movie,
Okay.
which just kind of interesting that they would like drop those hints. I don't even know if they were intention like meant it that way, because I don't think this movie was shot like that. I think it was
Okay.
just they were just trying to show that he had, I think, a drinking problem,
Mm-hmm.
and um also a little, 90s
Bigotry.
racism.
Okay.
Um but other than that, I don't, maybe a little naive and a little old, and should, maybe doesn't have as much fight in him anymore in as being an attorney,
Okay.
right? I think that's, after finishing it, you're like, okay, I guess that's where they were going with it. But like watching it, you're like, he's a scumbag. He's they're gonna find out he's got emails or a memo or fax that where they were trying to screw him over and he was gonna get a cut.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't happen, and you're
It
like,
didn't happen. Yep.
oh, okay. My bad, Mike. I didn't mean to hate on you so much for most of the movie. Just fire him already. Anyway, so yeah, that's a lot. All right. So, what's your score?
So, closing thoughts, because I'm going to do closing thoughts and then my score. Closing thoughts, I thought it was a decent attempt at a movie. I don't feel like it executed everything correctly, but, huh?
Attempted movie.
It was a decent attempt. Um, Overall, I didn't hate the movie. I just don't think it's the best movie that's ever been made. So I'm going to give it a 6.3 out of 10.
Okay, that's respectable. The way you were, excuse me, the way you were talking about it, I thought you were gonna go a little lower.
No, like I'm not upset that I watched it. It's not a travesty of a movie. I just think it has some issues.
A travesty. It's not a travesty.
Right.
But, I don't want to kill anybody after watching it, so that's good. That's a plus.
There you go. Yeah. What about you?
Okay, so I enjoyed it. It's yeah, it's not a perfect movie. I'll give you that.
Okay.
I think it's really good. I think it's a compelling story, a good story. It's got a lot of layers to it. It's got um uh it's got things you in it's got things in the movie that you don't see in a lot of movies. Like most movies these days are really formulaic and very typical, and this movie just is just trying to be itself and um, telling us real story about real people um, in a, I guess, genuine way, like a real person kind of movie, not like there's no superheroes, there's no evil villains. It's just people. I kind of like that. So I'm gonna give this movie a 7.2. And it's got Tommy Lee Jones in it. He doesn't make bad movies.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot. It's also got the 90s. Love the 90s. Yeah. So, what did you guys think? Do you agree with me? Do you agree with this guy?
Other side.
But don't agree with this guy. I don't know what side he's on. Let us know what you guys think, because I'm interested to know what other people think about it too, because you brought up some good points, and but yeah. So with that, if you guys are still here, can
Make sure to
you
hit that like button.
give us one of those thingies? I was trying to
Also,
point at you.
yeah. Also, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well, so
Yeah,
that way
give
you
us a
get
like.
notified every time that we put out a new video.
Well, no, to get notified, you have to hit the bell or the notification button, which you can do also if you would like. Um, yeah, comments, recommendations, other movies, TV shows we should watch. We like to watch good stuff. Try not to make Ryan watch anything awful because it gets really annoying. Or
Okay.
do if you want to really annoy him. Depending on where you guys are watching this, it's either on Rumble, YouTube. You can follow us on either one, and you can check us out on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at BRH Reviews. And did I miss anything?
No, that was it.
Cool. All right, see you guys later.